Now for a little love for your wrists, I'll have you come onto your hands and knees and just do a little yin-yang movement in the wrists, letting the hands point forward and back a few times. And eventually settle with just the left hand, fingers pointing back, and maybe a little bend in the elbow. We're looking to feel the sensation in the wrists and forearms rather than hyperextending into the elbow joint. You may choose to move your knees back a little as you lean back and even shift back and forth to the left and right as you breathe down into sensations in the forearms and wrists. Quite often in our life, we're in this flexion, whether we're in chaturanga or driving a car, typing. And so it's useful for our wrists to move into this reverse flexion as you take a few more big breaths down into tendons and ligaments in the forearm. These last few breaths, you may even choose to let the butt of your palm leave the earth and work slowly towards the fingertips as you continue to breathe. Continue to give your facial muscles permission to relax, eventually coming all the way off of that left hand and maybe just octopus roll that out a little bit, get some fluidity back. And one more thing for this hand, we'll flip the palm up in the middle of the mat so it's right in the center of the shoulders and chest, fingers facing you. And then we'll bring the right thumb and index finger around the wrist so the butt of the palms meet. Press down and away through both hands, almost like you're in down dog. Take an inhale, and then lean back into child's pose as much as you need to feel this in the back of your wrists. And then breathe in between all of these little bones that make up your wrist joints, moving in the direction of child's pose. Unless you need more, some bodies could even go into down dog. But there's no extra credit, so find a place where it's sensational enough that you can soften into it while you breathe. As before, you're welcome to sway a little to the left and right as you breathe down, sending your awareness and attention down into the wrists. Let's take two more in and out of this shape. As you feel ready, returning the right hand to the earth, maybe walking the knees forward a bit, we'll just sit down on our heels and wring this hand out a little bit. So we looked at reverse extension and reverse compression. Let's just do just a little extension, just full yin. So this hand is totally placid and receiving the effort of the second hand massaging the wrists. Or without resisting, you can pull on the fingertips as you feel this in between the bones of the knuckles and wrist. So we're giving some extension for a change to the wrist joint. When you feel ready, we'll work to the other hand. So even if you were at a red light in a car, you could do this. But while we're on the yoga mat, let's come into the expression here so you have even more body weight. Right palm down, fingers facing the knees. You'll walk your knees back as much as you need as you lean back to feel useful stress in the forearm and wrist. Keeping some subtle softness in the eye of the elbow, and then lean back or move back and forth as you explore the three-dimensional qualities of this pose and your body. And I encourage you to breathe into your sensations. It's a way to receive the stress in a way that's useful and a way to soften into it. And we can continue to move back, allowing the butt of the palm to leave the mat, and even rolling towards the tips of the fingers. Notice how every little millimeter in micro movement changes the stress and the way the pose is experienced. There's such a three-dimensional quality to your body in these shapes. So there's no goal to look like you're on the front cover of a yoga magazine. The intention is to feel it in a place that's useful and breathe in a way that's useful. One more big in and out of this. After that one. And then bringing the left palm into the earth, come off the right. Find that flowy movement as you re-lubricate the wrists a little bit. Bringing the right palm up in the middle of the mat, fingers facing the knee. Bring your left thumb and index finger around the wrist to frame as the butt of the hands meet. And then as you push down and away, walk the knees back if you need more length, and then lean back into stressing and creating space on the back of the forearm, back of the wrist. And then breathe as if your lungs were in your hand. We really want to nurture our wrists and our hands. Our whole body's ability to be fluid, to be flexible, to go with the flow is correlated with the fluidity, the range of motion and lubrication of your ankles, your wrists, and your head and neck. So they're always a good place to love on and to explore movement and breath. As you explore movement, these last couple breaths, feel free to move your torso and hips a little to the left and right. And eventually, and only as you feel ready, you can bring your left hand back into the earth, walk the knees forward as you need, come off of that right wrist as you sit back and just slowly wave out any residual tension. Again, giving the hands a little love, some extension, while your left hand just massages on your wrist, almost like you were trying to pop a flower off of a stem. There's a little bit of assertion, but not any force. And the same love can happen at the fingers without resisting. Just pull a little, creating space in the knuckles and all the digits of the wrist. You feel good here, interlacing the fingers. Let's just do a couple figure eights as the forearms slide up and down one another. And if you want to challenge your brain, interlace the opposite finger on top and see if you can figure eight the opposite direction. Of course, no judgments if you can't. This is as much of a brain exercise as it is a wrist one. And when you are complete with that, allow your hands to just rest, palm up on your lap. Take a moment in stillness and see if you can feel the tingling sensation of the life force moving more freely through your hands and your wrists.